What's up, guys? Doug Polk here, and today we're going to be taking a look at the 5 biggest winners in the history of online poker. I want to kick this off with a caveat though. Look, we're going to look at the 5 biggest accounts in terms of winnings according to High Stakes DB. Now, there are a few things at play. First off, we're not going to merge accounts because we don't always know everyone's accounts and the accounting can get weird. We're going to look at the 5 biggest winning accounts in the history of online poker. Second off, there might be cross books or betting on the side between people if they won or lost betting on matches. Not going to include that. We're talking about on the table, money won into accounts. Let's jump into it with our top 5 winners in the history of online poker. Coming in at number 5 with over 7.4 million in online poker winnings is Z-Dang, otherwise known as You're in Danger. Now, this guy is very well known from the scene back in the day. He was crushing the nosebleeds in 2007, 2008, 2009, and that's obviously where most of his winnings came from. But if you look at this graph, it is just non-stop straight up winning, and yeah, he might have had a few bad sessions along the way, but the guy clearly knew what was up and crushed his opponents to get to number 5. The interesting thing about Z-Dang is that he also had a brother who's not too far down on the list. Hack Dang, who played on the account Trex313, has $6.6 million in winnings, so just outside of that top 5. But another great online poker player. Now, these guys used to play all the time back in the day, 07, 08, 09. They would never play in the same game because they didn't want to make it look like they were colluding. They only played separately in different games, but both of them were absolute beasts. And it's pretty cool to see 2 brothers kind of take it to the top like that. It's got to be very helpful when you're trying to make good strategies to beat strong players, to have such a great close resource to bounce ideas off of. You never have to worry about them turning their back on you. It's your family. Now, after crushing the tables over at Full Tilt, both of these brothers have moved into the restaurant business, which is kind of a weird transition, sure, but apparently they've been doing pretty well, opening up several different restaurants. Always great to see people transition from poker into other successful ventures. Let's go ahead and move on to number 4. Number 4, coming in at $7.5 million in earnings on Full Tilt Poker as well, is Ben Tollery. Now, the majority of Ben's winnings have come from Pot Limit Omaha, but he's also made about $1 million in No Limit Hold'em. He didn't seem to be doing that well until 2013, where things picked up and he ended up around $1 million. Must have gotten some good coaching. Let's go ahead and move on to number 3, who also played on Full Tilt. In fact, all 5 people are going to be on Full Tilt. The games were just way bigger there compared to anywhere else. This is our first 8-figure winner. Coming in at $10.3 million, it's Jungle Man. Yo, Jungle, what's it like knowing there are 2 players ranked ahead of you on this list?
We're mad, right?
We're mad. We're mad. We're mad. Give me angry. Now, Jungle is one of the best No Limit Hold'em players of all time, and many people know that because he took on everyone in the heads of No Limit Streets, including the Tom Dwan Challenge. But what most people don't know is he actually did pretty well in most of the other games. When we break down his graph by game type, yeah, sure, he has 5.4 million made in Texas Hold'em, definitely his best game, but he's actually not lost money in any game that he decided to play. He won 1.8 million in PLO, he won 1.4 million in Hold'em slash No Limit slash PLO, he won 1.1 million in, 1.5 million in 8 game, he won 100K in draw games. I mean, the guy is a jack of all trades. Of our top 5 players, I would say that Jungle's the most still in the poker scene. We played last week on Live at the Bike, he's played on Poker After Dark, and the guy is traveling around constantly looking for some of the highest stakes action in the world. Let's jump in and talk about number 2. This player is a very well-known European player whose accent can sometimes make him a little hard to understand. He's known for gambling and definitely likes to jump in there in places that a lot of people might not jump in as well. They also prefer sticking to cash games over those pesky tournaments and have not been in the mix too much lately. I'm of course talking about Patrick Antonius. In just 2.5 years, Patrick Antonius managed to amass almost $12.5 million in winnings. Now, he's only up 11.3, ended up losing a little bit back after that, but those are some serious figures. He was the first player to accept the Tom Dwan Challenge, where they played heads-up PLO, and he ended up being defeated by Tom, although they settled off the felt. Now, Antonius was a bit stronger in some games than others, but man, he really liked jumping into everything. Let's take a look at his winnings by game type. We see his best game was Horse, which is actually a pretty interesting game to be good at. I didn't think there was too much action there. Of course, there were 5 games, Hold'em, Omaha High, but it's Limit, and then the 3 stud games, Stud Raz and Stud High Low, where he won $5.7 million. Close behind was Mixed Hold'em and Omaha, Mixed Ha for $5.2 million, and that accounts for just about all of the winnings. After that, his next best game was Omaha High Low, and then Hold'em Fixed Limit, and then 8 game where he lost small. It looks like his worst 2 games ended up being draw games where he lost $1.2 million, as well as Texas Hold'em where he lost $2.4 million. Now his Omaha High pot limit graph is up 1.6. It ends kind of weirdly in the middle of the graph, but he's also up a bunch of money there, and possibly it even blends into this red line and we can't see either of them, which is kind of beautiful, being up the same amount in both pot limit Omaha and Omaha High Low. Maybe you should stick to those games. Now, Patrick Antonius is an iconic player in the world of poker. He played all of the highest stakes online, all of the highest stakes live, made millions of dollars, and was involved in so many great hands of poker. I haven't seen him in a little while, and I don't think we know exactly what he's up to, but it would always be great to see Patrick Antonius back on the felt, and I hope that becomes a reality. Now, this brings us to our number 1 player, but before we talk about him, I want to give a quick special mention to the biggest winner on PokerStars. Now, a lot of people don't seem to know this. It's a player a bit more off the radar, but the biggest winner in PokerStars history is actually Jeans89, the pot limit Omaha specialist. Gene's graph is a smooth ride to being up $5.3 million on definitely the toughest site, and that even includes recent years. I mean, the guy has been winning for the last 6 years on PokerStars, constantly beating the games. In general, if you want to make the list for top 5 players, you kind of had to play a bunch of games. There just isn't enough action in individual games to make it all the way to the top. That's why I think players like Jeans, while they made a ton of money, they weren't really able to climb the ranks to becoming our number 1 or 2 player. So that brings us to number 1, and it is none other than No Home Jerome.
I had a fake ID. I don't recommend that, but that's, the path that I chose.
That's right. In this stunning graph, Phil Ivey won $19 million over the course of around 4 years. $19.3 million. That is absolute madness. If we then break it down by profit by game, we get a little better look at what that looked like. So his best game by far was Omaha High Pot Limit. Pot Limit Omaha, of course, a game with big swings, but it seemed like Ivey really excelled, beating many players on the road to this much money. I mean, $8 million. Ivey almost won as much in Pot Limit Omaha as the number 2 player won in total. Yeah, sure, it's a few million off, but whatever, I'm going to round up. His second best game is Horse, a game that we also saw Antonius crush at. There must have been a lot more action in that game type back in the day. He also posted wins at Omaha High Low, Texas Hold'em, and a small win in Fixed Limit Hold'em as well. In fact, the only game the guy ended up losing at was PLO/No Limit, and yeah, he lost for about a month or 2 and then stopped playing, so who knows exactly what went down. This is absolutely insane. $19 million won on one account by one man. And it's no wonder why so many players are pumped to see Phil Ivey coming back to poker. That's right, guys. He announced recently he's going to be back playing poker in the spotlight. It's been rumored for the last 2 or 3 years that he's been playing in underground Asia games, and we don't know exactly what the deal is, but I can't wait to see Ivey fighting for bracelets of the World Series and playing on games like Poker After Dark, and I do hope we get to see more Phil Ivey in the future. That's going to do it for our top 5 list. I hope you enjoyed this video. Once again, I'm going to be streaming at 6 a.m. Pacific time tomorrow. If you want to stop by, should be right here on YouTube, might be over on Twitch, but either way, I'll see you there. Also, we've got a lot more videos coming up lately, so make sure you're subscribed and you don't miss any.